if that actually ends up being something that happens. But all right, what's going on, everybody? We are here, Dogon SS, JV Wins, Conscious Approach live streams. What's going on? What's up? February 15th, 2022. Hope everybody's having a good week. Shouts out to the Rams for winning the Super Bowl and all of that good stuff. It was a good game. I think I saw a number. I forget where I saw it, but it said 101.1 million people watched the Super Bowl or something like that. But it was like the most watched television show in like the last 10 or 20 years or something like that. So,
really?
Yeah. Like it just continues to get watched even more with each passing year. So last year was the most watched one, and then this year beat last year. So I just think like with gambling continuing to become legalized in more states, it's just increasing people's participation in like professional football.
Yep.
Because the gambling aspect of it is just taking it to a whole nother level. But so shouts out to the Rams for winning the Super Bowl. I was happy to see Stafford win because I just like seeing guys who are actually talented win, because you know how the narrative is. They try to evaluate the totality of your entire career based on whether you won championships or not, you know, despite the fact that it's damn near impossible statistically to actually do that. But, you know, outside of the world of sports, we had a couple of good topics this week. First up, this video went viral last week. I thought it was pretty funny, but I kind of wanted to pose it to the channel because it's interesting to wonder whether this is the road that we're headed down when it comes to a lot of these weird sort of new forms of technology and communication and whatever category. I call it like modernized sex working in the capacity that it's most famously known for. And I'm talking specifically about Instagram. So in this particular video, it depicts a guy who is a college recruiter going to college campuses to try and recruit women to become OnlyFans models. And, you know, he's trying to suggest that you can continue to do this college thing, or you could go the OnlyFans route and secure the bag in much greater degree, much faster. So I thought that this was hilarious. I was laughing the entire time that I was watching it. But you also know how I feel about OnlyFans and how pervasive and detrimental of an effect that it is having in other aspects of modern society and culture and life, specifically when it comes to the utter deconstruction of sort of men and how men are supposed to go about the pursuit of women and all of that good stuff. So be that as it may, I have issues with OnlyFans. You can watch previous videos to kind of get an idea of how I feel about OnlyFans individually. But we're going to go ahead and play this clip first, and we'll talk about it on the back end after playing the clip. Yeah, you can get ahead by giving head. So, and then you can see that apparently there was some outrage to this. That one particular commenter there was talking about how bad it is, you know, OnlyFans recruiter on a college campus preying on young women, literally coercing them into prostitution, blah, blah, blah. So apparently there's, you know, outrage. You know, mind you, these same women who are outraged by this are the same women who exclusively make themselves available to rappers and athletes and entertainers. So, you know, where does the rubber meet the road? I'll never know. But nevertheless, that is what this particular clip was about. Now, I believe that was I don't know if that was like, I think it was, I'm pretty sure that was a skit. But I wonder whether we're headed to a place in which stuff like that becomes more and more commonplace. Because we both know that the advent of OnlyFans is becoming more and more ubiquitous as the days, months, and years progress. And so, he referred to going on to OnlyFans as quote salvation, right? And you have women who are sort of outliers, like the one who made the comment, talking about how disgusting it is. But we also know that there are a fair amount of women who sort of praise OnlyFans and the place that it holds for being able to provide women with an outlet to, you know, get money really fast. They do view OnlyFans as their salvation, as their savior, so to speak. So, there's different sides of the aisle. You got, women who are, engaging in righteous indignation because they have an issue with it, and then you have other women who are fully on board with it. And my perception is that if there are more women who are on the side of it not being a savior, those numbers are more and more becoming offset by the percentage of women who are, regularly enrolling themselves, if you will, into OnlyFans school and decommitting from traditional school, so to speak. So, I found it kind of cute. I found it kind of humorous, honestly. But I also think that it speaks to the possible direction that we could be going in culturally, where it is going to be it's going to be such an informal notion. Women doing OnlyFans. It's going to be so commonplace, such an informal notion, that the idea that you can spot somebody on a college campus recruiting for OnlyFans will be more of a misnomer. Like, oh, that's just the OnlyFans recruiter. He's here every other week. Whether college campuses is the first place where we'll see something like that happening, I'm not sure. But I do think that we're headed towards a place where it's like, yeah, just do OnlyFans. What's the big deal? Like, I was watching there was another video I saw. I believe it was out in California. There was a TMZ guy, I think, one of those interview guys, one of those gotcha TMZ people who just shows up and just, paparazzo types, but the interviewing kind where he's just interviewing people like, spur of the moment randomly. And so he ran up on these two females who were getting into like a Mercedes McLaren. Um, and he was asking them, like, how do you have this car? How could you afford this car? And the girl was like, oh, I do OnlyFans. And the interviewer was like, what, really, man? Everybody's on OnlyFans. How much y'all make on OnlyFans? And she was disclosing, oh, a couple 100,000, like a month or whatever she makes, whatever ridiculous amount of money that she makes. And and the interviewer was like, man, that's crazy. You make that much money doing OnlyFans. What are you doing OnlyFans? And the girl's response was like, oh, she sells, like, she shows toes and feet, or she sells like feminine hygiene products or something like that. Something that she was saying that she does that's not actually having sex. But I just feel like in 5 years, I'm not going to recognize the world that I live in anymore. I'm really not. And we already talking about the perilous state that modern relationships are in. I do believe that this is a part of it. You've got these guys growing up with social atrophy who don't know how to communicate with women but know how to get an OnlyFans account, and they're inflating the worth and the value of these females just based off the sake of their existence, which intrinsically is something that we should not be doing as a society. But it's only going to get more and more pervasive. And we can laugh and joke about seeing videos like this now, but in 5 years, when that becomes the mainstay, I'm not so sure that we will be so happy and, happy-go-lucky and celebratory when it comes to content of this nature.
Totally agree. I mean, for me, of course, it was obviously a skit. But for those that were, I mean, like the comment that was, from what we looked at, just atypical SJW type of outrage about this, or The real outrage is the amount of money that comes through and is made off of OnlyFans,
Yes. Right. Yeah.
not the joke.
Right.
And so, so for the woman to be offended by the joke is, it's putting the cart before the horse type of situation. So I don't really see it as really being an offensive joke. I think it is a well placed joke
Yeah.
because what do you say that the student should do? On average, all those kids going to college, a lot of them are just going to get degrees in a field that they're not going to work in,
Yeah.
and then end up with debt that they'll be paying for the rest of their lives. Why do that if you just have to, for women, if you just have to just show your feet and or show your belly or your armpits or whatever guys are into that you don't, nah, for real, where
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I
don't,
know.
yeah, where you don't have to get naked. And women are still finessing this because there were entire, I mean, we would hear about this all the time, at least when we were growing up, about how pornography is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And we talked about this before, how OnlyFans is just more a direct-to-consumer form of pornography, where now there's just, well, I don't need the middleman anymore. I don't
Mhm.
even need a pimp. I don't
Yeah.
even need to have sex.
Yeah.
And then they just get naked and then they're just getting all the cash. So yeah, I think it's a well placed joke in the sense of where we're at as a society for people that are so willing to do such things, and then B, on the back end, the people that are actually out here with the placement of having that as a substitute for actual female interaction.
Hmm.
And that it's a wild dynamic, but unfortunately that's where we're at. And I feel as though the joke is spot on,
Yeah.
and it offends the people that it's supposed to offend. And if the people are offended by it, then they need to do something about OnlyFans as an entity, or
Yes.
the because my thing is, if there's OnlyFans disappears, or if they did what they were going to do, like just fumble the bag and say we're not associated with this anymore. Well, some other website was just going to do that for them,
Hmm. Yeah.
and they make all their money, so they might as well keep doing the pornography thing. So this has introduced a lane that was inevitably going to be here anyway, unfortunately. So I love the joke. I think it's perfect. They're at FIU. I thought that was hilarious.
Of course they down there. Of course. I mean, I'm not shocked by that. It would have to they'd have to be down there, or they'd have to be like in LA or something. Like,
There's another dude. Money told me about him. Some dude, he goes around. I forgot his name. Something's always, I forgot his name. I'm not gonna butcher the guy's name, but he's on YouTube's and on TikToks and stuff like that. But he just goes around FIU and interviewing, the baddies,
yeah.
and yeah, saying outrageous stuff and saying. And one thing about what's going on down there, man, I'm not surprised people like him are making stuff like that at FIU and stuff, because honestly, that is what people down there do, bro. So for this to go viral and to go dumb, I'm not surprised. I'm just really not.
I've uh I've done like little background research on, like, because I have a hard and fast stance on OnlyFans. Never a day in my life will I ever commit a single solitary dollar into that monstrosity of an entity. However, I have done research into where some of the people who are active on it are from. And yeah, there is a substantial amount of OnlyFans content creators who are based in Miami. And not only that, but a lot of these professional porn sites also film in Miami. So I was not shocked at all to see him at FIU. It was actually pretty funny. But yeah, when it comes to the OnlyFans thing, and we can traverse down this rabbit hole all day long, but at the end of the day, you can complain about people making videos like this all you want to, but what we really need to address is the deeper, more existential question of why does OnlyFans and things like OnlyFans make money? And why does it make money to the extreme level that it does? And, I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that the majority of the OnlyFans customer base are men. Percentage wise, I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that the majority of the people who spend money on these things, on OnlyFans, for example, and who subscribe to channels on OnlyFans. Like, I believe that there's other kinds of content on OnlyFans, but let's not get it twisted. OnlyFans is primarily known as you put it, the direct-to-consumer, sexually explicit content hub. It's porn social media. It provides content creators with the ability to be able to provide content directly to followers. In this case, those followers are subscribers, and because it's considered premium content, you can charge for it. So therefore, it stands to reason, why is it that you can charge this fee and make so much money doing this? Existentially, why are these women making as much money as they are? Why? Like, that's what needs to be addressed. And from my vantage point, all I can surmise is there just has to be a large percentage of men specifically, probably some women too, but I'm going to say mostly men, who find an outlet like OnlyFans to be a convenient respite from the rigors of the world. Let me not be burdened with the task of interacting socially, in person, physically with women. Let me just let my wallet and my OnlyFans subscriptions do the job for me. Now, in the short run, you could suggest that might not necessarily have the most degradation effect on the overall population, but I beg to differ, because what is the population going to look like when this has been firmly supplanted within said population for 30 years? Like, what is the birth rate, the pregnancy rate? What is all of that going to look like? What is the very notion of the family structures is currently dissolving right before our very eyes. So, we have to ask ourselves whether we're okay with that. As a world, as human civilization, how okay are we with these things? It's vogue to be in favor of everything. It's popular to be left leaning and say everything is okay. Bring it on. We want everything to be acceptable. But certain things do come along with unintended consequences. We're going to have to evaluate how much we are willing to live with those consequences. I think one of the examples that I brought up before, when it comes to social media has done a lot of good. Okay, it's up to perspective, but if you want to suggest that social media has done a lot of good for the world, if you want to say that, you would also have to acknowledge that despite the good that social media has done, it's had unintended consequences. For example, you got a lot of people dying in vehicle accidents because people with, you got a lot of ADD people out here who can't put their phone down for more than 2-3 minutes at a time. And so even while they're driving, they're on social media and they're on their phone and they're using apps on the phone while they're driving. Distracted driving is on a rise, therefore motor vehicle accidents is on the rise. When social media was coming up, when Facebook and Instagram and all of these things were coming up and YouTube was coming up, they weren't intentionally trying to increase the motor vehicle accident rate. It is just something that came along with the emergence of these various outlets as an unintended consequence. So, what are the unintended consequences of things like OnlyFans? OnlyFans to me is different than traditional porn. Porn has been around since forever. There's porn there was black and white porn. That's how old porn is. Like, it goes back to the days where there was black and white television. So you can't just say, well, we've been seeing this change in society since porn's been around, because porn, no, there was a nuclear family structure in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, even when porn was going on. There was man seeking woman 50, 60 years ago, even when there was porn. The population boomed to the point where we are now sitting at 7 billion people from a population standpoint worldwide. if porn was really having an adverse effect on the population from that standpoint, we wouldn't have seen that population explosion over the course of these last several generations. So you can't singularly point out porn as something to sort of relegate OnlyFans to not really having that much of a detrimental effect when it comes to this particular aspect of society. But when it comes to social media, and then the way that technology and social media has sort of birthed certain things like OnlyFans, you got to wonder what kind of detrimental effect these things are going to have. And personally, I see it kind of changing the face of how men and women interact with one another, relationships and dating, therefore marriages and families and birth rates and all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, what are we going to be doing in 10 years? You're going to have OnlyFans chicks having kids and then they raise their daughters to become OnlyFans models? Is OnlyFans going to be the family business? I don't know. I'm not necessarily speculating, but I'm saying you can't rule anything out. So, all of that is like, what the existential question behind the validity of it, why it makes so much money, why we can't seem to find more of a balance between some of these newer technologies and things like OnlyFans. These are all questions that, in my opinion, are worth asking. Not to be a fuddy-duddy or say that OnlyFans needs to go, although in my personal opinion it needs to go, but I'm not going to speak for everybody. The world doesn't operate on JV Wynn's time. The world operates on the world's time. I don't dictate how this stuff goes. I can only have my personal opinion. But I do see it having various unintended consequences. So it's just going to boil down to how okay we are with reconciling some of those consequences in the face of what we might perceive to be some of the more positive aspects of some of these things.
I totally get that, and it's just for me, a guy that's been through damn near every conspiracy theory hole there is to be in. Um, I've learned quite a bit as far as how to tolerate changes in the world,
Yeah, yeah,
and so a lot of the conspiracy theories would be rooted in a change that's going to be coming, down the line, either 5, 10 years, or whatever in the future or whatever. And they sensationalize it, make a real big deal out of it. You get freaked out. And also I've went through a lot of these things.
yeah,
And so one thing that I did realize for the ones that were actually coming to fruition were, some of the, agenda oriented things that you may see, whether it be a liberal agenda, the things that we discussed before, or something like this where there's a sexual deviancy agenda out. And because my I don't have a problem with people watching pornography like that. It is not all the way clean. I'm not going to sit here and advocate for it, but at the same time, I do think it would help keep predators off the street because they have something to watch. Yeah, they have something to watch instead
or it
of
might
like,
encourage it though, because some
or it might
some
encourage
social
it.
yeah some social scientists say that some of these predators watch so much of this content that it sort of
Warps.
it changes their brain chemistry and sort of encourages them to try and act these things out in person, and so that's how you get certain attacks and things like that.
Well, that's
So
that's
it goes
also,
either way. Not saying
yeah.
that either side of it is
No,
correct.
no, that's
Yeah,
that's that's fair too. And so, because as I was saying that, I was saying I don't know, but at the same time, I do think it has to have some type of effect of keeping some people in control,
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, but at the same time, I do see how addicts could go off the deep end, become even more deviant. And so, so it is definitely one of those things where it is a double-edged sword, and it's how you use it type of scenario. And a lot of people overuse it because it's not seen as a thing where it can be overused for whatever reason. Like you can overdo that,
yeah.
and some people don't think that that's a thing unless you're actually watching it in a library somewhere or somewhere in public. It was like, hey man, you do have a problem. That's when people go, hey, you draw the line. You're watching porn in public, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, I just really think that it has become so commonplace, and it is such a norm type of scenario that honestly, trying to I'm not saying that you're really trying to, but mentally trying to wrap your head around such changes and just trying to mentally bring it in somehow to make it make sense to go back to the world you used to live in. That's not a thing anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so whenever these things are happening, I go, oh, snap, this is where we're at. I wonder where this leads. I can pretty much assume where it leads, but I
Mm-hmm.
wonder where this goes and why everybody is going down that road. And some people are so young to eat. I can see them going down the road, and they're so young that they don't even know how they got there. As soon as they were born, everybody was heading this direction, so they just
Yeah.
started going that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm seeing those people moving. I'm seeing a whole crowd, a whole herd of people. Oh yeah, OnlyFans, ha ha ha. OnlyFans, cool, ha ha. Yeah, it's just yeah. There will be OnlyFans moms and daughters if
Mm-hmm.
they aren't already right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, this will be a thing, especially in a suffering market where jobs are hard to find, and the only thing a woman has to do is show her feet, and she can, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
she making more money. She's making more money showing her feet than she would slaving at Walmart, slaving at a corporate job, maybe even. She busting her ass just for 50K when she can make 50K in 2 or 3 months, just showing her feet.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? So it's kind of hard, and I know we've talked about this before. It's not necessarily so much the women we're blaming; they're just a product of the guys that are out there thirsting so hard.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yep.
so and so to tie back into your point of like the earlier, like, yeah, but pornography has been around. Yeah, it has been, but pornography has always been seen as a thing of, hey man, when this stuff gets introduced into society, society starts to decline. And
Yeah.
so there was always a push against pornography. And then there was always this thing where it was really taboo. And then it was honestly in our 90s ish kind of era where it became like, pornography it was still taboo, but at the same time, it was starting to become a little bit more mainstream kind of a
Mm-hmm.
thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the internet exploded in, around the early
Yeah.
2000s, that's when things started to get out of control. Then with social media, and honestly in the early 2000s as well, where the term porn star became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like porn star. And she only had to do one video. She's a porn star all of a sudden. And then it just really started to grow and metastasize into this thing that we see right now. And so while this huge entity of a creature is moving down the street, I am not getting in its way. I'm not going to ask why it's here. I know why it's here. And while it's doing its new weird thing next year, it's like, oh shit, this is what people want. Because honestly, I'll say this, just kind of like how 50 Shades of Grey tried to normalize BDSM.
Mm-hmm.
And so that with this new thing that's bouncing down the street, it's going to attempt to normalize other fetishes and other things that we're seen as, hey man, you might want to check that out.
Yeah.
That's not normal for people to be into that. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we're at. I think it's going to be a herd mentality of, oh, who cares? We're already
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. We're
If
already at that point.
and
Yeah.
once you hear, because if you're on TikTok and you hear these jokes from these kids, I mean, these are middle school, high school, not even sometimes, and the jokes that they say, it is outlandish. It is completely hypersexual. So, hey, man, this is where we're at. This is the new normal, and we just got to get used to it. And because honestly, I'm not saying that you're fighting against it, but the mental real estate that that type of stuff is taken up in one's mind, because it does with me too. Because whenever I do see something new that pops up, that it's like, wow, again, this is
Mm-hmm.
where we're at as a society. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
that pops up, the first thing I go do is, oh wow, that's where we're at, and then the next thing I do is I release it to the wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I say, hey man, hey, it's kind of like like about with females type of thing where, oh, you believed in her, oh, and then she broke your heart. and you just release it to the wild type of thing. And then
Yeah.
once you realize that every girl that you're releasing to the wild, you realize that everything's for the streets and nothing's sacred. Hell, they'll remake anything of yours. They'll remake they'll remake your Fresh Prince. They'll remake your they'll remake your Coming to America. They don't care. Nothing's sacred, bro. I'm telling you, there's gonna be these people out here that's I don't know. Somebody will buy the NFT of Blueprint 2. Yeah, they'll buy the NFT for that. They spent whatever millions of dollars for it just so they can redo his whole album. You know what I'm saying? So we're headed there if we're not already there.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Nothing's sacred, bro. Everything of yours that you
Yeah.
once loved will be trash one day.
Yeah, I know. And I've accepted that because all of that stuff has no bearing on my personal. So like I guess the read like, you know, and I agree with you about, you know, I don't allow things like OnlyFans to occupy too much mental real estate.
For sure.
But I do have an opinion on it nevertheless. So if I'm asked about it, or if there's content, or if I'm delivering commentary, I'm gonna speak my piece. That doesn't mean that it's wrecking my brain, but yeah, I have thoughts on all of that kind of stuff. So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, stuff like this, I think about only because I think that it can have a direct effect on me personally. And so anything that I feel has the potential to affect me in my life, I'm going to have some thoughts on that. Because, and the reason why I say that is because number one, just generally speaking, the reason why I have issues with the OnlyFans thing, besides the fact that there are guys who spend their money on this, is, you know, I take issue with the fact that women, like women do this thing, right, where they talk about how valuable they are and what their worth is and how they deserve this and all of this kind of stuff, and that they're more than their looks and their sexuality. But then they'll do things that are counterintuitive to that notion. And then when they can do it and earn money doing it, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. So just intrinsically, I have an issue with the fact that females are able to use things like OnlyFans to, you know, become as successful as they are. And they're not skilled at anything. They're just getting it off of the sake of their existence. But that is an intrinsic thing for me. I believe in, you know, I'm old school in that way. So I more respect people who learn a skill, who learn a trade, and leverage that in order to become successful, as opposed to, oh, I'm just a female and I'm dressing in sexy outfits, pay me. Like that doesn't, to me, take any sort of skill. Like you by birth, you retain the ability to do that. There's no you're not becoming a practitioner in any kind of way. So that's number one. You know, that's one of the things that I kind of take issue with, is that aspect of it. Like, just because you exist, you're able to have these inherent benefits, but at the same time, you want to talk about feminism and self-respect and being seen as more than a sexual object. So there's cognitive dissonance that I experience with those two conflicting ideas. But then, besides that, even though it's related, like I'm a utilitarian. Like at my core, I am principally a utilitarian. So I just believe in contributing something and earning something for that. So I would much rather pay a woman who is an interior designer to come and design my house. And I can pay you 10 racks to do that because you're one of the best interior designers around. So I'd rather pay a woman to be an interior designer and come into my house and interior design the hell out of my crib and make me look like I know what the hell I'm doing from an interior design standpoint. And I'll pay you 10 racks to do that. I don't care. I pay for service. Whatever your price is, I patronize talent and work and work ethic. Whether you're a man or woman, but specifically here we're talking about women, that's the kind of guy but again, I'm not trying to say that everyone should think like me. And I'm not trying to say everyone should have the opinion that I have. Those are just my personal sensibilities.
No, for
So
sure.
because those are my personal sensibilities, things like OnlyFans are an affront to those sensibilities of mine. And so that's why I have the opinions that I have. And, again, as a guy who does still hold on to the slim chance that I can be a husband and a father, I perceive things like OnlyFans to be a potential threat to that because, how am I going to react when I start meeting more women who do OnlyFans? I don't know how I'm going to react to that. How do I react when, I run up on a woman and because she's had so much experience with things like this, I can't even take her out on a regular date. She's gonna want me to drop 10 racks on her first because she's used to dudes dropping 10 racks on her for nothing at all, through OnlyFans or through real life. And so running up against things like that, which is becoming more and more commonplace, that poses a direct threat to my faith in holding out hope to wanting to be my own family man and husband and all of that kind of stuff. So these are just things that kind of play out in the recesses of my mind when it comes to formulating how I feel about some of this stuff. And honestly, I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know how I'm going to react to that. Like, the day that I run up against, I'm going to have to open up the floodgates and start letting go of some of the other preferences that I've had. Like, would I rather date an attractive single mother or a chick who does OnlyFans? I don't know. Preferably, I don't want to date either one. But it's looking more and more like I'm going to have to make that choice. And so those are things that kind of make me a little nervous when it comes to just the family value aspect of it. And so, it's stuff like that I think about. But other than that, like, it doesn't keep me up at night. It's not making me nervous, or I'm not breaking cold sweats having nightmares. But sure, the longer that I continue to stay single, the more that I'm going to think about stuff like this.
And I hear that, and I'll just say this, that all of that makes sense, especially that latter portion of, once you start talking about the dating pool and stuff like that.
That's mostly what I'm thinking about.
It was already wild to me, honestly, surfing pornography sites.
Yeah.
Looking at how many people upload stuff to pornography sites on the regular, and these are just regular people, and they're just uploading their not even getting paid for it, just uploading regular stuff. This girl worked at this gas station. This girl worked at this. Yeah, it's going down.
Yeah.
And so that's already been a thing, kind of. It's people are monetizing it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the trajectory of which this country has gone, as far as, and I'll say this, because you brought up a good point, by bringing up that people have been watching porn since whatever. But the thing is that with kind of tying in before, last topic we talked then about social engineering and stuff like that. But hey, man, those studios understand that humans are very primal.
Yeah.
And that sex, the slogan "sex sells" basically is that no sex is a drug.
Yeah.
And so the only thing we have to do is put drugs on screen,
and
then people are going to lose it.
Yeah.
And then so they'll put drugs on screen, and then guys are going, "Whoa, was that a nipple I saw under her blouse?" This is this is 78. Nipple under her blouse? He says blouse. Ugh. And then so this guy's losing it. And then now this girl's some pinup model. And then this kid's growing up in his uncle's room, and he sees this pinup model with nipples showing.
Yeah.
He thinks it's normal. And then he goes under his bed and sees more things that are normal.
Yeah.
And then he grows up, and then now he goes and buys tapes.
Yeah.
Yep. Then his brother finds his stash. And then now there's internet.
Yeah.
And now everybody has it on their phones.
Yeah. It's a progression.
It's a progression.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And now everybody's a dope head. Hey man, hey, I'll pay $15 a month. You pay her $15 a month for what? Man, hey, I'll pay her 15. But you used to get this for free. I'll say $15. That's it. Another girl's charging 25. You paying $25 a month to watch this girl do what? What's going on? We're here. We're here.
Yeah. That's absolutely that's 100% correct, man.
Yeah,
That is one. It's definitely a progression for sure, and I've witnessed it. It's just I do think that you can have progressions, but the rate of progression at different times can be different. So
yes,
if you think about it like a bell curve,
yeah,
if in previously it was kind of going up like this, now it's just going up like this. It's always been going up, but now the increase is just like it's just a peak. Like and so like
yeah.
is there a valley? Is it just going to keep going up? Are we going to experience a valley? I have no idea. But look, man, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if more of these dudes, if more of you guys out there were having actual real sex with women, you'd be less likely to be on OnlyFans spending money. So at the end of the day, man, I just think a lot of this is able to persist in the way that it does because there are so many guys who are just out here sexless. Like, just have trust me, man, real sex beats OnlyFans any day of the week. I promise you, it really does. So like, why do you think that there's less women who pay for OnlyFans? Because more women have sex than men. That's why, like, women have no need to be on Only for what? Women can get it whenever they want because they're women. That's why women aren't customers to the degree that men are. So like we as men, if we, just try a little harder, man. Look, she's out there, man. When you go to the arcade, if those still exist, I know, like, it's easier said than done. I know, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like I just get I get a feeling. I can't prove it tangibly, but I get a feeling that, like, there's just a lot of my fellow men out there who just, it's like we aren't trying, and then there's no need, there's no sense of urgency to try when you have the convenience of your laptop and your phone and OnlyFans. And so, what's the cause? The cause is lack of social skills. That's the root. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that social media and OnlyFans and the internet has caused this. That would be disingenuous. What has caused this has been social atrophy, in my opinion, lack of social skills, lack of formal communication skills being developed by current generations before this, now future generations. That's going to lend itself to a greater propensity of a reliance on things like OnlyFans. So that's the root cause. But yet and still, like, the fact of the matter is this: we can pick and parse all day long society, history, culture, technology, all of that. We can talk that stuff till the cows come home. The bottom line is, if more men are having sex, less men are going to be on OnlyFans. I think we can all agree on that. If there are more men who are actively having sex, less of them are going to be doing things like being on OnlyFans. So that's just kind of how I look at it. But we can go. I don't know if you had anything else to say. We can go ahead and move on from there.
It'll tie. It'll stream. What we saying to streamline it right into the next.
It will.
Right into the next one.
It will, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and end that one, and we're going to talk about Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels, in my opinion, continues to be, when it comes to people who create content talking about modern dating and relationships, there's a lot of content out there that does this, as we all know. But Kevin Samuels continues, in my opinion, to be the one who does it in the most articulate, nuanced fashion, where he sort of, to quote Jay-Z from Dig a Hole off Kingdom Come, when he says, they put themselves in the air, I'll just kick away the chair. So it's like, in other words, you're just going to hang yourself. And he creates these situations where women themselves sort of dig their own grave when it comes to sort of some of their various aspects of their mentality when it comes to dating and relationships and things like that. So this was a recent segment of the show that he does on Instagram, where he had this woman on the stream talking to her. This woman is 36 years old and she's a stripper. And he was sort of asking her some questions about her priorities and how she feels about herself as a dating prospect, so on and so forth. So we'll go ahead and play the clip, and then we'll come and talk about, or we'll give our thoughts on this particular piece of it once the clip is done.
Okay.
This is not a good place to be in. I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but you're over here trying to cap or whatever, and I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I ask you how much would a man need to make to provide for you and 2 children annually.
Probably about 200,000.
In what state?
California, both in California.
Man, no way. I just left LA. A slice of pizza, 2 slices of pizza and a soda is $17.
Well, where were you?
No, ma'am, I was in LA. Look, man, I do this for. Listen, this is part of the problem. You ladies don't know how much it costs to be a man in charge of stuff. $200,000 in LA? No way. You want upper class children. Each one of your children is going to cost around $480,000 to raise. That's almost $1 million worth of kids. Plus, you don't plan on doing anything. And he has to pay all your bills, all your things, and you. And then he has to have what he does. You're talking every bit about $400,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're talking about athletes and musicians and all that other kind of stuff. And that's cool. And what percentage of men make that kind of money?
Maybe 10, 15, I don't know, not that much.
Do you care if he's black? Do you care if he's black or not?
In California.
Do you care if he's black or not?
Yeah, I want him to be black.
So what percentage of black men? What percentage of black men? What? See what I'm talking? That means you stop. That's only one rule. Can we agree to that, please?
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's disrespectful. What percentage of black men earn over $400,000? You say 10, 15%?
Maybe 30.
And where'd you go to college?
Cal State LA.
Mm-hmm. Would you be surprised to find out that 10% of American males earn $100,000 or more? 10% make $100,000 or more. When you're talking about making $250,000 or more, that's 3%. Making $400,000, you're talking about 1% of American men. And when you talk about black men, it's roughly about 10%, half of 1%. So if I had 100 black men, you're talking about 1 in that room. And let me ask you this. That one man can meet your socioeconomic standards, right, which are pretty high. That means he can meet a lot of women. Why would he choose you over the thousands of other women who are coming at him?
Because I'm natural and I am willing to work. I have been working if I needed to. And I don't have any kids, and I'm cute. And I'm willing and able to do what I need to do as a wife or mother. What more would he want? I don't,
What more would he want?
I got a degree. It's not a master's, but it's something.
So you think a man goes out here and makes himself a top 1% man and a judge? That's like an athlete. And to win at that level, what do you get if you win? What do you get when you win a championship?
A ring.
Or what is it commonly known as? A trophy, right?
Yes.
Are you a trophy wife?
I can be.
I didn't ask, can you? Are you a trophy wife?
Definitely I am.
What would you rank yourself? Just your face, fresh face out of the shower.
Well, I'm fresh right now, so I'll say like 8.
An 8? So you put yourself up there with Beyonce?
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little bit younger than Beyonce, and I still look like I'm in my 20s.
All right, we can stop there.
That was the first time I watched that. I was laughing the entire time.
Yeah.
The whole 27 minutes was just content straight up. So just go.
I mean, honestly, bruh. So, and not to defend the OnlyFanners, but OnlyFanners are gonna point to women like her and go, "Hey, man, I try. No, I try." And then they're looking for the 1% of men out there. And so while I go out there and I attempt, they go, "You don't make enough. You're too regular. This is too boring. Where's the bag?" And then so they just dunk on these guys. Yeah, no. They dunk on these guys. And to tie in the previous conversations we had before, she's the type of woman to have a team full of guys. The one she watched Netflix with, the guy that she can go on dates with, the guy
Well, she
that
said in the video that she got a full boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy that can come through and knock her down the way she wants to, maybe a couple of those guys. and she's just living her life. And then so guys that are attempting to go out there and make it happen are encountering these types of women. So she's 36, so she's in our cohort. So this is the type of women, even though this is a stripper, she still embodies modern woman to the T. And everything that she's saying, from her lack of research and her lack of understanding of what she's looking for, is straight up like a large percentage of women are in that boat. I found it interesting. I mean, whenever I hear the numbers about the amount of men who live with a certain income level, it's always a trip for me. And then for whenever a woman hears those numbers, thrown in her face like that, and then he presented that to her, and he's like, "Hey, if there was a room full of 100 black guys, there's only one guy that fits that, and so that means there's going to be a whole bunch of women that want that one man in that room. So what are you going to do to make yourself stand out amongst every fish that I can possibly catch? I'm natural. I'm cute." And whatever else she was saying, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
She's willing to work.
She's willing to work. What else more can a man want? She says after all of that. I go, "What are you saying?" And so to me, that's what's baffling. And I'm not out here. Listen, I think I do consider myself a catch, honestly. I consider myself a catch. Do I make catchable money right now? I do not. But me as a person, I am a catch as an entity. And so while I'm out there just being me and being awesome and shit, and then I encounter this type of logic, I go, "Oh man, but you looked it so good though." There's nothing you can do about these types of women. And they're the ones that are honestly, I mean, she's already living it. And so she says she has a boyfriend, but at the same time, he had asked her in that interview, was like, because some guy in the back was like, "Oh, you do got a boyfriend, you do got," and she was like, "Well, I'm not married, so I'm still single." And so even she was dunking on a man in the video. The man in the video was like, he trying to claim that. "Tell that man you got a man." She was like, "No, I don't. You not even my man like that." And so when guys are getting just dunked on like this, then holding vagina as hostage, because that's all they're doing. They're just using it as bargaining chips and manipulation chips. This is what's going on. This is a large portion of the dating pool. So you were talking about, "Oh yeah, well, will I have to date a single mom?" Hey, you might have to consider.
I know. It's getting to that point. Yeah.
Single mom.
Yeah.
Or mega super thought for the streets, bro. And honestly, man, the mega super thoughts that are for the streets, there is, I mean, we talked about transactional, relations before. Man, it is really becoming transactional in the streets to where it's like, damn, like what she's really trying to figure out what she can get out of me instead of building anything towards anything. So, call me a sucker or something like that, where I used to believe in the concept of what people used to call love. But I can't get into any of that anymore because as soon as you start expressing those things, whoever sees it as weaknesses in today's day and age, and you just leave yourself open for all kinds of shenanigans, man. So right now it's just a bad space. This woman here is honestly, I mean, we could just pick her out of a crowd, and she's honestly a reflection. And like people go, "Oh nah, he always putting on these girls that don't know what they talking about, that sound crazy." Not Kevin Samuels.
No.
So this ain't whatchamajig show or Fresh and Fit show where they do get bimbos for real.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, this one here, she fits the bill, but this was selected at random.
Now she is the type of chick that would appear on Fresh and Fit. Stripper girl, she would be on Fresh and Fit. But your point is right. Like what you don't see, what you see on Kevin Samuels' show is women who are okay. Between those two shows, both women that are on those shows are delusional. They're just delusional for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
So like on Fresh and Fit show, those women are delusional because like her, because she to me fits the mold of a chick who'd be on Fresh and Fit. They say, but I'm fine and I'm sexy and I got a great body and a cute face. All the guys like me, so of course I'm going to be able to find a guy who makes $1 million a year and he's only going to be monogamous with me. That's delusional. And the types of women who are delusional on Kevin Samuels' show are women who are like 40 plus with 1 or 2 kids and still think that they should get a guy who has everything going, despite the fact that most men intrinsically don't seek women who are that old with that kind of baggage, despite how much you look. As well as the fact that you be having a lot of these chicks on Kevin Samuels' show who, quite frankly, aren't very attractive in the face, and a lot of them be overweight, and they still be thinking that they're like 8s and 9s. So the point is like the women that come on those shows respectively are delusional just for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But there's 2 things that immediately came to my mind when I watched that clip. The first thing that came to my mind is this woman represents why I encourage Black men to explore all of their options. When I talk about Black men embracing the idea of exploring all of their options, which yes means dating outside of their race, I say it not because of my belief that there is just something inherently wrong with Black females. No. It has nothing to do with that. And it has everything to do with the fact that in this day and age, if you care about, meeting women who are less likely to be on BS like that, who are still physically attractive, who have sort of amenable personality types, and they have good values and they're smart and all of that good quality stuff that you care about. In this day and age, if you care about finding a woman who embodies all of those characteristics, you're going to have to explore options outside of your race to be able to maximize the opportunity that you have to find that. Purely based on numbers. That is a purely statistical observation. It has nothing to do with opinions on Black women or non-Black women. And it has everything to do with, in this crazy dating world, if you care about finding all of those qualities in one female, your best odds of being able to find that is to explore every option available to you, look outside of your race just to sort of maximize your chance of success. That's literally what it is. It is about casting a wider net so that you can reel in more fish who could potentially have the various things that you care about. She represents that because I'm going to tell you this right now. We already know what the numbers are. Black people represent about 14, 15% of the total population of America. There's 40 million people in America, right? How many of those 40 million Black people are women? How many of those women are attractive? So right there, we're talking about, you're looking at less than 20 million people easily. right? And that is a liberal number. It really is probably a lot less than that. I'm being generous by saying around 15, 16 million. So of those women who are attractive like that, how many of them have her mentality? Like, there has to be a sizable enough percentage of that if they look like, because we all want an attractive woman as a guy, right? So like, how many attractive black females have that kind of mentality? If you want to be able to sidestep that, you're going to have to seek other alternatives or at least consider them. And if you're unwilling to consider them because you are hell bent on staying within your race, you're going to have to then lower some of the other standards that you might maintain. So if you care about having a girl who works out, you might have to let that go. If you care about having a girl who's not a single mother, you might have to let that go. If you care about a girl who has a certain kind of facial features, you like girls with soft features or whatever the case may be, whatever tickles your fancy from a preference standpoint physically, you might have to let all that go if you're going to insist on staying within your race, because at that point you are limiting the chance that you have to find all of those inherent qualities. So that's the first thing. That's a lot of the reason why I'm kind of somebody who's not afraid as a black man to say, hey man, explore all of your options. That doesn't mean don't date black women. That doesn't mean look to date this specific kind of woman only. It just means have the open mind to explore every option available to you, because at the end of the day, your happiness is what's most important. So as a man, you should be focusing on maximizing the opportunities that you have to find what it is that you're looking for. So that's the first thing that came to mind when I watched this, as I was laughing hysterically the entire time. The second thing that came to my mind is she personifies women's inherent duality and how it makes absolutely no sense, and why they struggle with relationships. Okay, so, and this is the thing about it, and Kevin Samuels said it right there in that clip. Like, most women, a lot of women, I won't say most, a lot of women nowadays, they come with this laundry list of qualities that they seek in a guy. And Samuels didn't even get to the physical traits that she has as preferences, right? Because if you go into that, some of them say crazy stuff like he has to be at least 6'4", and I like guys with, so you get some of these women who will say, oh, 6'4", has a beard, makes $300,000-$400,000 a year. Okay, so so when he said the 1% number, that's absolutely correct. You're essentially making yourself exclusively available to the smallest pool of men. And what's the main thing that women complain about when it comes to the experiences that they've had dating men? Fidelity issues. They have problems finding guys who are willing to commit to them monogamously, who want to be with them only. They keep running into guys who want to run around being with other women, who don't want to be seriously committed to them solely. And it's like, well, no shit, you're running into that issue when all of y'all are making yourselves exclusively available to the small percentage of men. That small percentage of men is less incentivized to choose to be committed to you solely, because he has way too many options to make that kind of decision. Exactly. He has way too many options to make choosing you a sensible decision to make. It doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense. If I walk into a room and I'm the only guy in that room, and there are 100 women in that room, and all 100 of those women want to be with me, there is no way on God's green earth that I'm going to walk out with just one of them. They all want me. What incentive do I have to just choose one? So ladies, this is the mess that you make when you decide that your preferences are as such that you make yourselves exclusively available to the small pool of men. And for every one of y'all who thinks that you're the only one who has those types of preferences, you're in for a wake-up call, because the majority of you have those preferences. So if all y'all are walking around thinking like this, you better believe all of y'all walking around here getting passed around by the same men in your city, wherever you are. Let's think about it. You live in a metropolitan area, like, I'm from Miami. We both from Miami. large metropolitan area, right? A lot of money down there. Those guys who are in that top 1% are tossing around the same women because all the women are recycling themselves amidst the same small pool of guys. 10% is the number if you're talking about all men. When you dwindle that down to just black men, you're talking about 1% of the total population. But you want to be able to find one of these guys who's going to commit to you only. It doesn't make any sense. And so, I'm an accountability guy. So I will always assess accountability where appropriate. We as men, in my opinion, bear the brunt of the responsibility for why this is such a mess. But where I will sort of hold women's feet to the fire is you guys create your own problems when you sit around saying, no, he has to be this height, and every guy I talk to must at least make what only the top 1% of men make. Well, what kind of bed do you think that you're making to sleep in at that point? That guy's not going to commit to you because if all the women want him, he's not incentivized whatsoever to pick just you. He's not. So why would he? It doesn't make sense. It is counterintuitive to everything that makes sense. So, it's scary to me because she represents the mindset of most of these females out here. And, she's 36. Now, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt of being attractive. I didn't see the rest of her body, but I can see her face. To me, she has a cute face. So, let's say, okay, fine, she's an attractive girl. She's still 36. You can't compete with girls who are 22, 23, 25. You can't compete with them.
And honestly, it's not even a body thing. It's everything. It's mentality. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
All of that.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Honestly, they're like, geez, I don't know, like, basketball players, like, I don't know what am I going to do with a 36-year-old vet?
Yeah.
When I can get some
a hot toddy, like, I'm gonna take the hot toddy. Like, look, you might be 36 and good for your age. You cannot compete with a woman who's 22, 25. You can't do it. You can't. And so at the end of the day, like Samuels also says, when you are seeking a particular result, I mean, when you want something, let's evaluate your outcomes. Mm-hmm. So, she needs to evaluate her outcomes, and women like her need to evaluate their outcomes. If you realize that your outcomes have not been what you wanted them to be, you're going to have to go back and reevaluate the process. Simple. It's simple. And if you're unwilling to evaluate the process because you think that your process is so ironclad, then you're just going to have to accept the fact that you're going to be by yourself for the rest of your life. Either that, or you'll just be some rich guy's situationship for 2-3 months at a time before he decides that he doesn't want to deal with you anymore, and he's just going to move on to the next chick. And that's going to be your life. That's going to be your life, honestly. But it's just crazy because, like, and she says that she has a boyfriend. Okay, so if you have a boyfriend, you still consider yourself to be single and on the market despite the fact that you have a boyfriend. Women who think like that are women who don't consider themselves to be. So in other words, he thinks that he has a girlfriend. You don't think you have a boyfriend. Right. That's what's going on there. Because even though you're not legally married to him and you're not a wife, if you think like that, because you believe that you can trade up. So you know that you believe that guy is not good enough for you, that you can trade up for a richer, more successful 1%er. And so until you do, you might keep that guy around, but he's still a dead man walking. Because the second that you get the opportunity to trade up to a 1%er or whatever the case may be, you're going to jump on that in a hot minute. And where's that going to leave you at the end of the day? Right back where you are, on that couch or wherever you've been, because of the mindset that you have.
Yeah. And I agree with all of that. It's the same thing. But that's what's going on as a very large majority. I don't want to say all women, and I don't want to see most women either. But there's a very large percentage of women. That listen. I just contributed to the same thing that got me, man. Hey, they
Yeah.
lied to me too. So when they were lying to me about this, and another thing, I don't know what, I wasn't watching the media that lies to women, but
Mhm.
apparently they all got the same script
Yeah.
because they're all spewing the same level of propaganda. And it's just like, I don't know where y'all all got this from, but it's all wrong. But it's what's going on, and a lot of women got bamboozled. A lot of dudes like to talk about this wall women hit. Along with coming with that physical wall, there's a mental wall that they all hit too. Like, oh wait, like damn, I'm not it no more. I gotta really, corral something.
Mhm.
And honestly, like where I get it. It's not all women because at the same time, I don't think it's always, men whenever men do something wrong either. I
Mhm.
really feel like there's some I'm the social guy. And I
Mhm.
really feel like there's some social dynamics at play that gets these people acting out of pocket and out of character and honestly out of their gender roles. And so when these women are just finding out that, oh man, I got lied to, and then everybody go, yeah, you hussy. You should have just kept your legs closed and you wouldn't have been in none of this mess. Hey, what were you doing, bro? You were out here dating too. I
Right.
mean, granted, you're trying to date, trying to find whatever, but at the same time, you're dating for fun too.
Right.
And so men dating for fun, oh, we don't have a wall, so we can date for fun. You, on the other hand, ladies, you can't do that. So you guys have to stop at 24 and let us have a fun up until we're in our 30s because we genetically can do that. And so there's this
Yeah,
dynamic of
that's not reasonable. That's never been reasonable.
guys
Yeah.
are with guys that's out here talking about this wall. They talking like they the finest thing ever themselves. They talking like women want them. Honestly, the reason why they're probably talking about that wall like that is because they're not so attractive. Oops, I said it.
Mhm.
And they're probably not out there. They're not out here in public pulling stuff because why are you so animated about
Mhm.
these women in their wall? Honestly, I think it's sad. And so my thing is, I haven't had issues pulling women. The issues that I had pulling women, it was something going on with me. Whether oh man, I fumbled that. She was going to everybody said oh women know they're gonna have. I can tell when a woman that I'm talking to is interested in me and that she's gonna let me have sex. It's on me if I ruin it. So she already said, hey, you can have sex with me. Ha ha ha, you're funny. Ha ha ha. I was like, yeah, I'm in there. And then I would just ruin it with either a lame joke trying to be too fast.
Yeah.
And then, over time I grew and learned. I was like, oh, okay. And then where's my struggles? So all these struggles that I hear people talk about on the internet and stuff like that, I hear them, but at the same time, I was making those mistakes too when I was a young person, not really understanding what the hell these women are really doing. Now, there's two sides of it. So there's guys out there that don't struggle with getting vagina, but they still go out there and they still struggle finding a relationship. And that's a dynamic too. That was more or less the boat that I was finding myself in, where I wasn't hard getting a woman. It was hard more or less getting a woman with some sense about herself that wasn't, always keeping her eyes looking for the next best improvement type
Yeah.
of situation.
Yeah.
And so that was more or less where the bucket that I would fit in. And so, but I felt as though those women were doing that because they kept seeing the same thing I was watching. And so they watched the Fabulous video too. So they want Fabulous. So I'm sitting there, oh yeah, I want to be like Fabulous and get the bitches like Fabulous. And then so she's like, all right, yeah, you're cool, but you're a regular guy. Where's the guys like Fabulous? Fabulous would have sex with me. Where's guys with guys that look like that? And that's what we had to grow up with. And so it's just like, all right, well, whatever. And then those women, and she's in our cohort. So she was talking about, athletes and entertainers because why else? What else is a stripper going to get?
Right. But the only difference between that is in a Fabulous video, you could have 10 models. There's only one Fabulous in the video.
That's true.
So we're sitting around saying we're looking at quantity, but on the other end of that, if that is what was in play, okay, fine, but it goes back to that number thing. There's only but so many of those guys around, so
right.
what are you gonna do? You're gonna just become one of his girls because you're not gonna be the only one.
Well, that's where the delusion, and that's where they've been lied to. That's the, hey, come to college, take out all these student loans, no job on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go, hey, what's going on? Where's my job on the back end? You kidding me? You're just one of many. And then they hit this wall when they were so busy trying to, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like women have their own struggle. I'm not all right, caping. Oh, look at him caping for he's simping. I'm not simping. I'm not caping. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying there's two sides of the street. I see their side of the street, and I see how they've been had. And then it's just sick when I hear their sickness on display like that. Because to me now, it is extremely like, oh man, that is so sad you think like that. There were so many times that Kevin Samuels is trying to have a conversation with her. She's over talking him about this. Then she'll finally, fall back after he would call her out, but he had to constantly check, hey, 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 and she had to imagine this woman in a relationship where, especially when y'all have some level small disagreement, she was irrational in that conversation with Samuels. Just imagine her when she's upset. Just imagine her when she thinks she's right and you're wrong, which is every time. And so imagine how that goes. I can imagine being in a relationship with her after hearing how she was talking to Kevin Samuels. And that's the part about this that's sad and what's sick. And it's the delusionalness of it all. And so me as a guy, and here's another thing. Because once I hit my wall, because I hit my wall too, of, hey man, potential. Yeah, I'm gonna actualize my potential, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
Yeah,
And then, hey man, you getting, where's your potential at?
yeah.
So I use a lot of my cards too. And so then I got at a certain age and I was like, hey man, you better make something happen. And so for the women, that's like, hey, I was out here playing, getting all these free dates and free meals from these guys, but hey, I really got to go get a family started. And once they finally say that, they're 27, 28, and hey, that's a little too late. And then, so it's just a wild cycle, bro. And so it's just sad to see people like her, on display like this, and to hear the level of just absolute delusion and absolute certainty, the double speak that they all do. It is just absolutely amazing to me to hear them say one thing, and then later on in the conversation, they'll say something that completely unroots the thing that they said earlier. Hell, even in the same sentence, where they just don't even know what the hell they're looking for. They're looking for this fictitious guy, like how you were saying before, 6'4", 6 figures, and
It's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Well, they got
Super,
hype. And
super packing.
You 5'2" and you want the man to be 6'6". Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
Hey man,
It's crazy.
hey, I fit a lot of what they look for, just not the 6 figures. Not the 6 figures, and not the 6'4", but I'm close enough to 6 feet to where girls go, "Oh, you're taller than me, so you win." Now,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is, hey man, it is what it is, bro. I just consider myself a blessed person, just living in life, just when dealing with women, and even with my struggles, bro, because I've had them, and hollering at a girl, and she has to literally go, "Oh, you trying to talk to me?" She'll throw the lob in the air, let her hit the ground. Everybody's watching. She'll catch it, put it between her legs, and then just absolutely. I was like, you could have just said no. Like, I don't know why you had to let everybody know that I was trying to get your number right here, but that's cool. I've been there. We've been there.
Yeah.
And so, hey man, but that's part of I think. I don't know how more rites of passage you can be as a man nowadays, to go out there and get a little scruffy, go out there and do and try to really corral something out there nowadays, because you really got to be on your P's and Q's. And once they see that you can handle it, because they'll try to really John Morant, cock it back and try to make a highlight out of you. And if you block it, you do your thing, and you just keep it player. That's why after every stream I say keep it player, because their whole thing is trying to see you get frazzled,
Yeah.
It's trying to see you, because I swear, this same girl, she basic as hell. She's so basic that I could pull her. She talking about she making all this money. She got, I don't care about none of that. Nah, I could. So only thing I gotta do is be around this girl for a little bit, and I can swindle her. She's nothing. And so the whole thing is they're all like that. And so it's just the thing where, man, just do your thing, just be self-confident. They talk like that. They claim they want that. But the only thing they want is a dude that's chill as shit.
Nah, some of them are so crazy that they will hold out until they find all that stuff.
I don't see how.
That's what delusion. That's the definition of delusion.
No. I mean, I guess they're holding out for that, but I'm just saying the same.
That's why. Marriage rates are on the decline for those very reasons.
Fair. So, but my and I hear that, and there are some willing to hold out, but they're willing to hold out a relationship. They'll still play. Because
I'm talking about. I thought we were talking about relationship. That's what
no. That's fair. But
okay.
My thing was keeping it player,
because
so you could keep playing with.
I got okay.
Because at this area, if men just change their mentality of, man, just go out there and just treat it like you just shooting hoops, and you're just playing around, just trying to get a sweat, and that's what that was. That's what that, because that's what they're treating, real transactional, real. And if you're just treating it as, man, hey, whatever. And hey, I'm just here. You gonna stay super single or not? She's gonna give it up, bro. And once she gives it up, then it's just like, hey man, you can still live your life. Mm-hmm. You just won't have no stable relationship, is all. That's what I'm saying. Things have become really transactional now, is all.
Yeah, I hear you. It's it's just one of my female friends. I won't say her name. Years ago, we were hanging out, and she was experiencing her difficulties with dating and whatnot. And I would see how she would act, and I would kind of call her out. One night we were out and we were talking about this, and I told her, I was like, you know what your biggest problem is? The reason why you're experiencing so much difficulty is because as a woman, you're experiencing conflicting messages between what your vagina says is best for you and what your brain says is best for you. And 9 times out of 10, what your vagina says is best for you is what's going to control your behavior. And to her credit, she acknowledged that. She didn't disagree with what I said. She just didn't have a solution for it. She didn't know how to overcome that. And so the thing is, like, they can talk. You can talk all day long about all these qualities that you have and how all of those things makes you such a fantastic dating prospect. But at the end of the day, the result is you remain unspoken for. Like, period. That's the result. You remain unspoken for. So at what point do you, at 36 years old, close to 40, sit back and decide, I need to reevaluate my process? Or do you just say, I'm just going to continue to just chase rappers and athletes and entertainers, and I'll just let the chips fall where they may? Because you cannot do what your head says when your head is telling you, hey, I want a good guy. I want to be a wife and a mother and be in a marriage. That's what your mind is telling you. But what your vagina is telling you is, chase these rappers and these athletes and these entertainers and exclusively hold myself out to these 1%ers who are least likely of all to be monogamous and commit to me in the way that I want to be committed to. And so your head is telling you to do the former, but your vagina is ruling your behavior to the point where you're only committing to the latter. And at what point does the rubber meet the road? That's the only question that I have. And I'll just let women out, and I'll just let women out there answer that question for themselves. Because, like, if you want to insist that you only date men who are top 1 to 10%, and then if you want to further compound it by having height requirements and facial hair requirements and things that are so niche like that, then you're going to continue to deal with the same. Like, what do you think is going to happen? You think you're going to wake up and the world is going to change? and the rules are going to just stop applying, and you'll be able to just find all of these rich, successful men who want to be in monogamous relationships growing on trees. Like, you're not going to wake up in that world. So, like, at what point do you take a step back and reevaluate your process? Is the only question that I have, for real. That's the only question that I have.
And I'll say this. So for women like her, because guess what? Super monogamous, super baller, middle school English teacher, whatever she was saying that could make six figures. But I don't know what she was saying. But the super prospect guy that she finds, let's say she finds this guy, and for whatever reason he's interested, she would still blow it. Now, granted, she's, one because, oh, she's a stripper. Let's remove stripper from this. And let's just stick with the mentality that this girl had, that a lot of women has. And she could have this guy. It fits the bill as far as whatever, at least the financial security. Excuse me. I mean, it was a girl I was following. I was on her live, and she was being super honest. And somebody had asked, it was like, hey man, if the guy fits what you want financially, but he's 5'2", and then she was like, she really thought about it. And she said, I can't do it. But he does everything. He fits everything. He can do the emotional stuff. He's got the money. And she goes, but I'm like 5'7", and he's going to have to look up to me. And I kind of always envisioned me looking up to the guy that I wanted to marry. Blah, blah, blah. So she said no. She felt bad about it, saying it out loud. I guess she never thought about it until someone asked. But she said it, and then she kind of felt bad about it, but then kind of at the same time, like, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, she was unopposed. But the thing is, like, the reason why they can acknowledge that is because in the recesses of their mind, they believe that they're not going to have to confront that possibility. That's the reason why they're so comfortable with being able to say, I can't do it. Because they believe that they are going to have plenty of bites at the apple, and they're not going to have to confront that possibility. They know beyond the shadow of a doubt in their mind that they're going to be able to find the guy who has all of those things, who's 6'3", 6'4". They think that they're going to be able to easily get that. Easily, the idea that they can run out of chances to run again to find that doesn't even register. So it's easy for them to say, I can't do it, because they don't think that they'll have to be faced with that possibility. They just don't. It's almost in a weird way, they just kind of feel like these guys grow on trees. Like, seriously.
I mean, I guess at the rate they be hollering at them, I guess they do feel like those guys. I mean, but they're not the 6'4" guys, but I mean, I hear what you're saying.
It's the same guys that's hollering at them, though. That's the thing. So, like, you're just gonna continue to get passed around. Like, if you live in Atlanta or Chicago, if you live in a big city, you probably routinely run up against guys who make great money, who physically match all of the attributes that you are looking for. But again, those guys are running up against not just you, but several other women. So, you're signing yourself up for a lifetime of that, where you are going to just be a side chick or just another guy on the roster of this dude's women. You're going to be a part of his harem, because you're not the only one that he's talking to. You think you're the only woman that wants a guy who makes $500,000 a year who's tall? Like, you're not the only one who wants that. So what reason do you have to believe that you're just going to be able to keep your preference set so limited to that and still be successful? Every woman in the world wants that, not just you. You know what I'm saying? That's like, okay, every guy in the world wants Beyonce. Why would be so? Do I have a reason to believe that if I saw Beyonce out somewhere that she would just, I want him, I like him? Every guy wants Beyonce. She's not incentivized whatsoever to go with me. Well, how's that? How am I gonna swing that? How's that gonna work? So it's just this. It's the air of logic that is missing from a lot of these thought processes. And the thing is, similar to me encouraging men, black men specifically, to explore all of their options. Women just don't buy it because we live different realities. And women look at success and social status and money and resources as sort of the barrier to entry, while we look at things like looks and physical attributes to a greater degree. But same dynamic is still in play. The only issue is it's a lot easy. I can walk out of my door right now and within 10 seconds, I'll spot a girl who's physically attractive. I can I can go out for 6 months in the place that I live, and I might not run up against a guy who makes $100K a year or more. One of those is far more plentiful than the other. So, if you either you don't want to be a wife and a mother as much as you say you do, or you're just flat out delusional. It's one or the other. It's one or the other.
And that's
because if you really wanted that, you would look at you would survey the landscape, and you would say, okay, I might have to relent on some of these stringent policies that I have, and maybe I can get a guy who makes 60, 70, 80K a year, who also might be tall or whatnot. Maybe that'll give me the better chance to find marriage and family and husband, if that's what I care about for real. But you're sitting around with this $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year stuff, like you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of like failure.
No, that's fair. And I'll say that for the women that's going on with them, because you can diagnose these type of women through conversation or something like that. And once you see what you have on your hands, as man, you got a choice to make.
Yeah.
And I tell you like this, the place that I'm at right now is just cash out on that. And the only reason why you're talking to her anyway is because she finds you interesting in some capacity. Cash out on that. She's not wasting her time talking to you because she thinks you're a waste of time. So she may think and claim that she wants this, 400K dude, but her level is where you're at. It's wherever you're at. And that's why you're talking to her. And she wants to give it up to you specifically, by the way. That's why she's talking. So just cash out on that. Don't feel bad, because she's not going to feel bad when she tries to find that 6K guy over you.
Yeah, right.
So just cash out, bro, and just have an interaction with her, blah blah blah. I'm not so heavy on taking them out on dates if you know what you're dealing with, because just that's a whole nother topic. Weigh that however you weigh that. I can pretty much tell when a woman's not interested in me and she just wants to go to the date. So yeah. I don't bother on those.
It's not hard to tell at all.
It's not hard to tell. Yeah. So a lot of the guys, because that's another thing too, man, from these dudes that's out here that's doing all this hollering and complaining. It's like, hey man, are you not seeing this coming a mile away? Like, how many times have you done this for you to not notice? And whose fault is this at this point? Yeah. So the times that I do take a woman out, it's because I want to take her out, because guess what? I want to be seen with her. So I'm winning with this. Yep, that's me right there. Yes, all that ass is mine. All right. Yeah. And then, and I might not even smash that night, but I got mine out of that. And then, you know what I'm saying? So get yours out of this. They're always trying to use something out of you, get something out of you. Get yours, buddies. All right. Because their level of desperation right now has to be next level, because you're just a regular cool guy. So just keep it regular. Just stay regular. Just stay a chill dude. And then these same women, that's why I'm saying, even this girl right here hollering about all this stuff, talking about Kevin Samuels, man, if I ran into this girl and just gave her any level of sauce and stuff like that, she'd be on the rotation, or I'll be in hers. It doesn't matter. And I got what I wanted from that situation, and I left it alone.
Yeah.
And so in the midst of you doing that, though, trying to shoot your shot, trying to find something legitimate, my thing is, when you find these, don't just, that you can use something, you can use this in your meal. You don't have to just throw that out. It's like, hey, you can eat the skin on the potatoes too.
Yeah.
So you can actually have this, bro, and don't and don't just banish them out. So have fun on your search of finding them. Just make sure you compartmentalize this situation and treat the ones that are talking like this in their own category of the pump and dumps and the this and that's and whatever, because they have their own version of pump and dump. And Women Universe, they just haven't coined a term for it yet. Mm-hmm. And then they just do their own version of that of not what I want and whatever they do. So just get yours, bro. Live your life. Don't allow them to run your life with their bad decisions. Run your life the way you want to. If they've got a team, get you a team too, type of situation. And it's just and not indulge. The lifestyle that I'm talking about right now, honestly, has nothing to do about family promotion though. Because where in this can you build a family if every woman you encounter wants to be treated as a transaction? What can I get from you? What can I get from you? What can I get? Give them what they want. And then you get what you want, and then you go find your woman that's not asking, what can you get? What can I get from you? And if every woman's, what can I get from you? Well, I'm sorry, bro. Either that's a whole nother conversation too. It's either where you're fishing at, you know what I'm saying? Or what vibrations you're giving off, or whatever. Because that's a whole nother discussion. But I would just say that overall, man, don't look at it as so much as a loss. I mean, honestly, I don't know whenever else in human history, you can just go out and just smash anything you want. You know what I'm saying? It's all kinds of women from all kinds of cultures, from all places of the world, and you can go do it if you're a single guy. Have fun, man, and don't let this crazy stuff like weigh you down. So yeah, just have your fun out here, man.
Yeah. I don't know if they have a term. I'm pretty sure they have their own term for. What did you say? Pump and dump. What did you say?
Yeah, pump and dump.
They do. I've been pumped and dumped, so there's a word for that. Yeah,
and they don't call it that, but they do their own version of it.
No, they absolutely do it. Yeah, it hasn't happened for a while, but it has happened to me before. So, I always say, man, like as women know they say that women know within the first 3-5 seconds of meeting a guy whether they would have sex with him or not.
Yeah.
Men, we know when a woman is actually interested in us. That's just something that we know. It's a natural thing. It happens organically. If she's reciprocating your energy, that's a very easy way of being able to tell that she's actually interested. If there's no reciprocation of energy and it starts to feel like you're pulling teeth, if it starts to feel like it's work, if it's painstaking, then she's not interested. And that situation is not going to pan out for you in the way that you want it to.
Just abort mission.
Yeah, all you're going to end up doing is expending your resources essentially for nothing because you're not going to get anything that's commensurate with what you're putting into it. So when you get that feeling, I tell guys that I try to explain that to dudes all the time because what a lot of guys today like to do is they like to just hope and pray. They like to just go on faith and say, I'm not sure if she's interested or not, but maybe if I take her out a few times and show her a good time, maybe I can win her over. It's like, no, bro, you're not going to win her over. Just because she accepts the date with you doesn't mean that she's interested. She'll just do it just to do it. Women just like to be taken out. Like they get they get an endorphin rush from it, a feeling of euphoria from being taken out. That doesn't mean that they actually like you. And the women who actually like you, who are interested, you'll know because they'll reciprocate that energy. And it'll be very easy to tell, and it'll happen very organically. You're not going to have to second guess or wonder. You're not going to have to feel like you're pulling teeth. It's not going to feel like I'm constantly having to work and beg this girl for her attention. When you start to feel like you're doing that, she's not interested, man. Just walk away. Go your own way and find somebody who will reciprocate the energy.
Yeah, and honestly, I do the Manador, just and so basically once they've spotted me, so here's the thing. So this is the whole science, well, at least what I do. So once I'm in my field and I'm in a situation where I realize that I've got her attention or whatever, then it's just like, oh, now that I've got her attention, just like I was saying, just don't mess it up. That's my whole thing is, what? And so me doing the Manador thing is them throwing bullshit at me and them doing, I bet you messed this up. Nah, I can't. Nah, I have to give you no pussy. Ah. And then you go, whoop. Ah, no, didn't, nope, I'm cool with that too. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah, I'm cool with that. Well, yeah, I'm cool with that. She goes, damn, I'm throwing everything at this guy. He ain't tripping off this. He chilling off that. I'm chilling off that. Then she goes, all right, I'll give it to him. Because their whole thing is, all right, once they've diagnosed a guy that they're smashed, even if I don't care what they got going on in their personal life, a real relationship, a situationship, it does not matter, sirs. All right. And so if she just finds you any level of interest in, and she gave you that inkling, like how Jay was saying, of them being interested in some degree, then once you see that, oh, they're interested, yeah, just don't mess it up. Just don't mess it up. Don't say anything stupid. Don't say anything toxic. Oh no, that's not me. I don't do that. She can know that you're lying. No, who gives a shit? You didn't admit it, and then everything is just hey, that's those guys, not me. And then she goes, let me just give it to this guy, and it's like, yeah. And then you're the one, yeah, you're the winner. Then you knock her out. You just knock her out. Then once you do that, bro, it's nothing. Then you're on her team, she's on yours. Everybody's winning, bro. So it's sad that that's where we're at. But hey, that's where we're at. That's what a large percentage of the dating population is doing. They're really not trying to take any efforts to go forward. But you really have to meet that woman, man, that's really having some principles, some cores, and some values. And if she doesn't, bro, and she's just, with the cap, claiming that she's with that or about that, and she's not, you can tell. And then just don't buy it. Just only buy it from the women that can actually produce those things, a family or a structured house or, regular shit. But yeah, man, I wouldn't stress about it, man. Modern woman is a thing. It ain't going nowhere like OnlyFans. It's only going to get worse. They're going to get more modern. So just have fun while you're out there, guys. Just have fun. Just learn how to put up numbers. This is a different league, man. It's a different game. The game is always changing. All right, but the principle's still the same, man. Just put the ball in the hole. And just go get buckets, guys. It's just a different day and age where it's no more real team offense anymore. No more family. Everybody's out there individually out there getting buckets. So just get you some buckets and get a smile on your face. That's what I got to say. Just get buckets.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and close it out, man. Yeah. Yeah. We can go all day on that, but at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. Just as you say, like stay on your square.
Stay on your square.
But yeah, so that'll do it for tonight's stream. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, whether you came in during the stream or whether you came in to watch the video after the stream ended. If you're on this channel on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, share the video. Certainly appreciate you supporting Logical Content, man. We're going to continue to crank out the commentary and the content and the videos more and more. You can find the Conscious Approach page on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. You can also find me on Instagram at JBWins, JBWINS. We also have a Conscious Approach page on Facebook. So if you're watching this video on Facebook, please hit the share button. Like the page as well, please. Comment on this video wherever you are watching it. Certainly appreciate it. And you can always check out the website for the full content library, consciousapproach.com. Until next time, man, I will of course continue to request that you support Logical Content. But other than that, this was a good stream for the night.
I'd agree. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS or on YouTube at Dogon SS. Go ahead and subscribe over there. All right. So for some videos that will be dropping. All right. So as I always say, man, keep it player, keep it chill, stay on your square, man, and keep it even killed. Don't be too high. Don't be too low. Yeah, man. Just keep it player.
Yeah. And maybe subscribe to one less OnlyFans page than you already got so far.
Yeah, bro. Just unsub, dog. Say yourself.
But until next time, man, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Peace and love, man. We'll see you next time.